Hello and welcome to All In. Before we begin, let's take a look at how last show's bets turned out.
I won 3 chips after predicting Virginia will beat Auburn in the first Final Four matchup. However, I lost 4 chips in the second matchup of the Final Four, with Michigan State losing to Texas Tech. Ironically, I won those 4 chips back on the wild card bet of who would win the national championship, which was Virginia.
That brings our final chip count to Blake 46, Keenan a lowly 14. Now it's time to ante up.
Can I borrow some chips?
So basketball has wound down, but a bit unexpectedly, we've still got a lot going on in the sports world. Masters obviously kind of highlighting the weekend, NBA playoffs in full swing now, but also on campus you have Murray State's baseball team and softball team really excelling. And tennis at the same time, I think they're in a position tomorrow to clinch the OVC regular season title. So a lot going on just besides basketball. Traditionally, that's what commands the most attention. But let's start out with the Masters, because obviously it was a historic weekend. Tiger winning his first Masters since 2008, I think. So for you watching that, he was in contention throughout the whole week, throughout the whole weekend. But Sunday really kind of solidified that performance throughout the weekend and took it home. What did that mean to you, just watching and having watched Tiger through the years?
Well, golf is a different sport when Tiger's performing well and at the top of his game. I mean, the buzz that he brings around the sport, around the country, really around the world. I mean, he's the best player in golf history, in my opinion. Of course, that's a lonely opinion, but to others, it's a very valid fact as well. I mean, he won his 15th major, 5th Masters in his career, which is kind of amazing. It kind of puts him back on track of chasing Jack Nicklaus for most major wins of all time on the PGA Tour. So it was definitely an exciting atmosphere to see, and I'm speechless, man. It was great to see.
No doubt. I mean, what was striking to me, I think, was just the fact that it really wasn't a fluke. When you saw the competition he was playing against, they all had great weekends at the same time. So Tiger really was playing at the top of his game, and for guys like that, Koepka, Dustin Johnson, guys like that who were in contention the whole week, I mean, they grew up with a guy like Tiger, and to see that, I'm sure, like, if you're in that place, you're probably proud. I mean, obviously your goal is to win a tournament like that, but to see somebody you idolize come home with something like that, his 15th major. I mean, do you think it's possible that he can end up catching Nicklaus, or I mean, have we seen one of the last few majors?
I think it's possible. I mean, he's comfortable out there. He's playing tremendous right now, and I think he opened up as a 9-1 favorite to win the second straight major coming up soon. So I think it's possible for him to catch Jack Nicklaus. So. Well,
for sure. So from that, let's move on to baseball. A lot going on in baseball right now, and a little bit unexpectedly, after last season, after baseball fired Kevin Mulder, hiring Dan Skirka, we didn't expect. I mean, we kind of assumed it'd be a rebuilding year, but here we are right now. Baseball's 10-5, first in the OVC, and really has shattered expectations. So what have you seen from this team that surprised you, and what's the ceiling?
Well, playing well at home. I mean, they're 5-1 at home this season, so I mean, they've been playing really well. I mean, you got Brock Anderson leading the team in hits and home runs right now, and have solidified their spot right now in #1 in the OVC. So they've just really been playing out of the park. So it's great to see.
See what you did there. Like I said, 10-5. Last year they finished the conference 13-16. They've still got 19 games left. So maybe it's a weaker conference a little bit this year, you could argue. But, I mean, what they've done to point just with a team that no one really expected to be there has just been astounding for me. From baseball, let's move to softball, because, I mean, just about as good, if not better. Right now, 11-3 in the OVC. Kara Amundsen has, I mean, talk about rebounding. They were 6-15 last year in the conference. Right now, 11-3. This is their best start in program history. I mean, that's got to be impressive.
Yes, it is. And actually, correction, the women's softball team is actually 6-1 at home. The male baseball team is 8-4 at home. But yeah, it's been a great year unexpectedly. I mean, they're 11-3 in the OVC right now, sitting at #1. They're just playing really well at this moment as well. So a lot of excitement around baseball and softball right now.
Sure, and outside of the diamond, I think we'll have the golf teams competing this weekend, right?
Yes, sir. They're in the Hermitage Birdie Fest right now. That's coming up this weekend. They came off a great weekend last week. Avery Edwards actually shot his career low 209 in 3 rounds, which came second place behind the first behind the medalist for Tennessee Tech, Bryce Beeler. He had a 2:08 in 3 rounds. So golf right now is actually on top of their game as well with the OVC championships coming up this weekend.
Sure, and it's going to be interesting. I'm sure the women's team is probably the favorite. I haven't really kept up with it, but I assume. But they typically are when Velvet Milton's in charge.
Definitely. Hall of Fame coach.
Yeah, no doubt. And from there, we'll round out as far as Murray State sports with tennis. They're competing tomorrow, as I said, against Austin Peay, who has completely just ran through the OVC this year, 7-0. I think they've swept every single game except for one, that they finished 6-1. So, Murray State, what's the ceiling on this team this year? Obviously, I think they were picked to finish first in the OVC, and they've lived up to expectations. It's going to be interesting when it comes down to postseason, I think, next week.
Yeah, definitely. They're following the trend of Murray State tradition right now. Home field advantage has been key this year for tennis, and I feel like their ceiling's very high. I see them winning the OVC title. So.
That's interesting. So you mentioned that. Let's get into our bets. I know things haven't been going very well for you, but here is your last chance to turn it around before you have condiments dripping from your head. So this first, it is a long shot. You've got 14 to my, I think, 46 right now.
Yep.
So, but I guess anything's possible. I don't even think mathematically it is. But
unless you never know.
Unless you steal some of my chips in front of me. So bet one: women's tennis wins the OVC title. I think the 26th is when they compete. So, yes or no?
I say yes. They got a matchup against Austin Peay.
Sure.
Battle of the border. I mean, we've owned Austin Peay all year. I don't see anything being different this year. So I say they win OVC. I'll put 2 chips on that.
Okay. You're being very sparing with it. All right. I'll match you. I don't think they are as good as they've been this year. I mean, definitely an up year. Just simply because this Austin Peay team, like we said, it's not really anything against Murray State. This Austin Peay team is just very, very good. Last year they made it to the semifinals. Made it to the finals. They met Murray State in the semis, beat them 4-1. Not much has changed since then. I think it's going to hold true. I mean, they haven't met any opposition all year long. Obviously, tomorrow is going to be very telling into kind of what that postseason race is going to be. But yeah, I don't think they have what it takes to do it. It will be closer than last year. I'll say that. But that's about all I can give them.
I say they go into this match with a New Year, New Me mentality.
Okay. I guess that's how you're going into this gambling matchup. We will for the next bet, we will see an upset in the first round of the NBA playoffs. We haven't touched much about it, but most of these teams, as far as the seedings, they don't look super upset heavy, but do you see anything possibly happening?
Possibly. I mean, you got some matchups like the 4-5 ones that are usually basically the same team as talent, far as talent level, but I don't see any upsets this year. I mean, Orlando may have a shot with Toronto, but I mean, you don't expect Kyle Lowry to not score in the entire series.
Right.
And, I don't see any upsets though in the first round. I'll put 6 chips on that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll match you there because I do think there might be one in that 3-6 matchup. If you saw Game 1, 76ers Nets, Nets, they play with a lot of heart. That second game, Sixers got it even. But I saw something that I liked out of the Nets that I haven't really seen. They challenged the Sixers, and Sixers seem to me a team kind of searching for an identity. They can't really find it, especially in the playoffs. I think that's possible upset. Then I look at Trailblazers, Thunder. Those are 2 teams, fringe teams on the playoffs every year, it seems like.
4 or 5 matchup, man.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. So I think one of those 2 at least is going to come up. So I'll match you there. And our last wild card before we close, our last show before our final punishment.
For you.
Oh, yeah, for me, of course. Who will be the #1 pick in this coming NFL draft held in Nashville?
A lot of analysts have speculated, on Kyler Murray going to Arizona. I don't see it.
You don't?
I don't. I think they'll go somewhere else when the time comes, and I think they'll probably go Bosa or something like that.
You think it's going to be Bosa?
I don't think Kyler Murray will be the #1 pick. Who do you think?
I think it's got to be Murray. I think they've made it clear they're trying to shop Rosen. So at that point, I feel like there's a drop-off at quarterback. So if you don't go Murray, what do you do, when it comes down to that? Unless you're trying to get someone else that a team already has not in the draft. But that's going to be interesting. I'm going to go 3 trips.
I only have 6 left, so.
Okay, you just put them all in?
Yeah, why don't you go all in?
That's what it's all about.
What about you? Put all, how many you got left?
That's okay. We'll go 6 in.
All right.
And we will see how those bets turn out. Thank you for joining us. Don't touch that remote. We've got a special performance coming from Sam. You do not want to miss this. There's more MSU Tonight on the way.